And you're helping so many people with your stories too, you know?
Yes.
I actually one day I want to write a book. So did you ever know that you're my hero?
No, no.
Hello, this is Andrea from OurDayDream, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Daisy Paige. She is the author of the book Unexpected Moments, forwarded by Kirk Cameron. Kirk Cameron is famously known from the ABC sitcom Growing Pains. So without further ado, here is Daisy. Hello,
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Great, good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. So I read the description to your book, Unexpected Moments, and it makes me think about a lot that's happened in my life. It seems like the more that you endure in your life, the more you learn. And so, what's your take on that?
Exactly, it's exactly the truth. I mean, you gotta be strong to go through some stuff. And as you know, if you've read part of my book, I've been diagnosed with a terminal condition, and it is a beast. Only 4 out of every 100,000 people get it in the US or are diagnosed with it in the US. And it's harsh, and you gotta be tough to go through it because it's some painful nights that I just pray to God to just, take me. And I think if I wouldn't have gone through some of the things that I did in my life, that I would not be prepared and be strong enough to go through this.
Right. That's beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit about unexpected moments?
Well, it's my full life story. It's a little different than any other autobiography, though. It starts 6 years prior to my birth. So, um, my mom died when I was my biological mom died when I was 6 months old, so I want to give readers a
Wow.
chance to get to know her character. And then I'm born in the 3rd chapter. At the end of the 3rd chapter, I actually, she knows she's pregnant. Of course, she knows she's having a girl. She knows she's gonna have these big eyes, and
Yeah.
um, I just introduced myself as I'm the baby Karen knew she was gonna have. My name's Daisy, and this is where my story begins, and that's the end of that chapter. So I
Wow.
wanted to give readers a chance to get to know her as a character before she gets killed, and it's a very tear-jerking, heart-aching chapter. I've had several readers tell me, "Oh my gosh, I can't quit crying,"
Yeah.
She was killed in a tragic accident. It was unexpected, and my father and her were in an argument at the time, and so my dad's motto was always, "Never leave the house mad, never go to bed mad," because
Yeah.
they did, and he never got to say goodbye, and they left on bad terms because, a lot of unsaid things.
Right.
And then I just go on after that through my sexual. I was molested for about 4.5 years. And from there, I was raped when I was 14. Um, I was laced, and it took them several months to figure out what happened. I had been drugged with PCP and LSD in high levels, and they're still, how did you make it through that? Because it was very
Yeah.
high levels. But my dad was a police officer, and he was on the case. So they did catch the guy that did it. Um, and then I married my father of 3. He was very abusive. And then I decided after we divorced, so I'm going to go join the army and just get a fresh start, start over for me and my children. But I got hurt and I ended up getting out early, so that actually didn't happen. And I met someone in physical therapy and moved up there, and um, he seemed like a really nice guy. We got along. We lived together for 4.5 years, and then I almost lost my life because of him. So basically, that's the story. I don't want to give too much away, but
No, that's all right. I was just talking to somebody the other day, that I was like, I had a lot of issues growing up. Whenever I was a child, I wasn't really in a loving environment, and I had a stepfather that truly hated me or treated me with hate growing up. So it was like, whenever I turned 18, I went and I found somebody that was abusive,
oh,
and then I ended up starting over and found somebody that was even more abusive. And so it was like, it was like I kept going and I kept hitting the same storyline over
over
and
and
over.
over.
Yeah, I kind of started learning a lot about why it is that we do the things that we do, why it is that we make the choices we make, and how we see the world, and in contrast to how the world really looks. And understanding that all that stuff that happens to you, it accumulates with inside of you. And so it's like, that's what bases your perception, but also it seems like the more muck you have inside of you from pain, the more pain that you see on the outside. So the more bad circumstances you'll find. And so I really understood at that point that there was healing that needed to take place inside of me from my stepdad, and that never happened. So I ended up going and finding somebody that would provoke that healing or pull that healing out of me, by making me strong enough to look at it. But I didn't know. So I just left him with more pain that I had inside of me. And then
It's
yeah, huh?
it's almost like we search for that in a way. It seems like that's all we're allowed to have is pain, you
Yeah,
know? And I kept asking God, all throughout my life, what have I done? I've
yeah,
been a
I
Christian
can
since I
relate.
was 9 years old, and I went to church every Sunday and every Wednesday. I participated in Bible drills. I won second place in Texas State Bible drill. I knew the Bible from the front to the back, and it's like, I've lived for you, so why do you keep punishing me? That's what
Uh,
you want to think throughout your life.
yeah,
It's like there's nothing out there but pain. All we can have is abuse, and and
you're
and
right.
it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like we search for more pain when we get out of one relationship. We search for more pain, and because that's all
right,
we know.
right.
By the way, who's the artist? Or is that you?
Behind me,
Yes.
that's me.
Those are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I look at those every time I watch you and I look at those. I was like, I've got to ask her if that's her drawing because they're very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I used to draw, but that's how I spent my time. My therapy was drawing, but
Yeah,
I got out of it, and I guess I passed it along to my daughter. She's the one that designed my cover on my book,
yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
and she teaches. Have you ever heard of paint with a twist?
Uh-uh.
Um, well, they bring the people have to bring their own wine or whatever they want, but she's the manager. She does the art classes, she's an instructor and teaches art that's her
Aw.
side job. I said, well, you ought to do that full time. She says, no, Mom, it's my hobby. I'll get burnt out, and I don't want to get burnt out on my hobby.
Yeah,
It's
yes. Yeah, but yeah, so I don't know. I think that whenever before I like started looking at my sorrow that I held within, I seen a lot of ugly people in the world because that was how I viewed myself.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So once I started like viewing myself better by healing those things, then I started seeing more happy people and loving people and, loving environments. And, so I feel like that's definitely something that a lot of little girls, a lot of grown women that are in that vicious cycle of pain and hurt, it's like to kind of take yourself to the wilderness a little bit and attend to those things inside of you, by yourself.
Yeah, that didn't happen for me until I'm almost 50, so that didn't happen to me until about 12 years ago. I've been happily married for 12 years, and
It's beautiful.
I've been seeing a Christian therapist for oh my gosh, almost 5 years now. And seeing her is what helps me tremendously. She's helped me to understand that this is not my fault, none of this was my fault. My brother's the one that molested me. It's like after I found out that, well, my stepmother, I thought she was my real mom until I was 9 years old. I was at my real mom's house one day and I saw this picture on the wall and I'd seen this picture every time I'd come over there and the eyes would follow you, and I asked her, I said, Grandmother, who's that lady in that picture on the wall? And she just took off and into another room and I thought, well, that was weird,
Yeah.
A little bit later my parents pull up and my mom sits on the hood of the car, but my dad comes in, he says, "Sit here, come here, Pumpkin," that's what he called me. "Sit in my lap," and, he said, "Your mom's gone to heaven to be with the angels." And I was like, "No, she's not." And he said, Yes, she's gone to heaven to be with the angels." And I looked outside and I saw what I thought was my mother sitting on the hood of the car. And I took off out the house and I went and I grabbed her by her legs. I said, Mom, you need to go in there and you need to tell them that you're not dead. Please just go in there and tell them you're not dead.
Aw.
So she walked in there with me by the hand and they sat down and said, No, that lady in the picture, that's your real mother. That's the mother that gave birth to you. This is your stepmother. She's not your real mom. She's raised you since you were 13 months old, but she's not your real mom. And it's weird because just a few months before that, I felt like, something wasn't right in this picture. And I said, was I adopted? And they were like, no. And there had been years prior to that I had asked, I don't know, a cousin of ours was over at the house and she was pregnant and then talking about that baby was kicking. And I was like, Mom, did I kick a lot? She goes, I don't remember. But what happened is my dad made an agreement with my grandmother that he would be the one to tell me when I was ready, about my mom.
Yeah.
So after that, my brother punished me for my mother's death. And he said if I would have never been born, then my mom would still be alive and he would still have his mother. Because he didn't call my stepmom mom and he never did. And I also thought that was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But he would be emotionally abusive and tell me it's your fault she's dead. And I was like, I was just a baby. I was only 6 months
Right.
old. How is this my fault that she died? But the reason why my parents got in an argument was because of me. It was because I was sick and she had taken off for like 6 weeks of work to take care of me. I was in the hospital, almost died. And he said, that she needed to go back to work to help with the medical bills and help them get caught up. And my brother's like, she would never have had to take off work if you hadn't gotten sick. So if you would never born, you would never have gotten sick and she'd still be alive. So I had that on my shoulders,
Yeah.
growing
'Cause you're
up.
so young. You're so young. You're just learning from your environments and whatever your environments are telling you. it becomes a part of who you are.
It does, and it was so hard to get through
Yeah,
that. And then later in life, I was almost killed, and I lived in New York when I'm in that last relationship, and I fractured my skull and had cerebral fluid leaking from my brain. I was in the hospital for almost a month, and yeah, I was unconscious for like 3 days. And when I woke up, my best friend was there. She's like, "Good morning, sunshine." And I said, "Where are the children?" That's the first thing I could think of because I have 3 children. She's like, "They're fine. They're with the pastor and the family. They've been with them, and they're gonna stay with them until you get out of the hospital." And it took a while because every time I'd sit up, I'd black out because of the pressure in the brain. So I never thought I was gonna get out of the hospital. I thought I was gonna be in there forever. And when I got out, I wanted so bad to get back to Texas. That's the first thing I wanted to do was get back to Texas, get away from him. And
yeah,
then, and I don't tell this in my book, so I'll share this. He was being charged with attempted murder, and he took a plea bargain and only got charged with aggravated assault. And so he got out of jail after a year of me nearly losing my life, and that's all he got. But on the other hand, I have forgiven everyone who has
yeah.
harmed me, who has brought harm to me. I tried to reach out to my brother, but he wouldn't. I said, "I forgive you." And he was like, "You lost your brother a long time ago."
He probably
And
can't forgive himself.
he can because my father didn't believe it. I tried to take my own life after I was laced and went through all that difficulty from that PCP and LSD. I tried to take my own life, and my father didn't believe that my brother had molested me. And I know now it's because he couldn't accept that that was his own son doing that to his
Yeah,
daughter, those horrible things. But so my brother admitted to doing it one time, but he said it was a childhood curiosity kind of thing. He did get caught doing that the first time, so that's what she thought. Oh, it's just a childhood curiosity thing. It was my aunt, but I reached out to him and I said, I just want you to know I forgive you, and I have a terminal condition. I just wanted you to know that. I want to forgive everyone that harmed me in my life, and you're one of those people. And I'm going to be going home to see mom and dad soon. And is there anything you would like me to tell them for you? He just reached out to me very harshly. Like you said, he can't, he, he didn't see in his eyes that he did anything wrong to me.
right.
But, and all the other people that have done harm to me, like the guy that raped me, the guy that laced me, the guy that nearly killed me in New York, I wrote letters, and I didn't give them to them, but I wrote them, saying that I forgive you for what you've done. And I let God know that I have forgiven them
It's
because
so beautiful.
truly believe you have to forgive in order to be forgiven.
Yeah.
And God forgives us for everything we do. So
Yeah.
to be godlike, you must forgive those who've harmed you and who bring harm to you or your family.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a lot of people be like, I can't forgive somebody. And there's people that don't even believe in God just because they know that that's part of believing in God, is that you have to forgive people that do horrible things. And so there was this one guy that I was talking to. He's like, I can't believe in God because I can't forgive a child molester. Like, he's like, I can't believe in God because of that. And so a lot of people, out there have that mentality. But it's pretty much, it's like not saying that you think that what they did wasn't wrong.
Right.
It's just saying that you're giving them to God to tend to, and you're relinquishing that from who you are.
Exactly. Because you know what? God says, vengeance is mine, and there will be justice. But
Yeah,
it's up to God for that justice. And so I just put all that in God's hands so He can deal
you
with
can
that
do with it.
person.
Yeah,
That's exactly what you gotta do.
yeah.
And then also some of my favorite verses, I put them in my book, but I don't know, you probably know Hebrews 11:6. Does that ring a
What's
bell
that?
too? But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
Right.
He does. He rewards us for those that seek him for the justice,
Right.
for any of that. He's the rewarder. He will reward us that justice one day.
Right.
And then the other verse is, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. And that's 1 Corinthians 10:13.
Right.
He doesn't put you through more than what you can handle. He knows what's going to break you, so he's not going to let it go to that point. He's going to only put you through what he knows you can
Yeah.
handle. And sometimes I ask, how do you think I can handle this? Why did you think?
I can relate.
It's hard
And
going through those
I'm
times,
going through near what you are. Yeah.
especially when you're a child. It's so hard to understand
Yeah.
why. I
Yeah.
did question that so many times. But, I also have learned through my years that there are angels here on this earth. Um, they maybe look like you or me, but they're here. They're here on
Right.
this earth. I can remember a time when my first husband, he was that's my all three of my children's father, and he was very abusive, and we divorced. I was making $8 an hour, living as a single mom with 3 kids, barely making bills because he wasn't paying child support. And then Christmas was rolling around. I was like, how on earth am I supposed to provide for these children and give them Christmas gifts?
Right.
You
I
know,
can relate.
I bet you can.
Yeah.
But it's like, God, they know the meaning of Christmas. They know why we have Christmas. They know it's not for the gifts. They know it's for Jesus and his birthday.
Mm.
Please help me provide for them. And then a couple of days later, there was a ring at the doorbell. And when I got to the door, nobody was there. But there was a bicycle and like 3 big bags full of toys and clothes. And I was like, thank you, God. I know that immediately, God sent an angel to bring that to
Right.
me and my children so I could see that joy on their faces on Christmas morning. That's the
Oh,
only gift I wanted, was
right.
that joy on
Yeah.
their face.
Yeah. I have a similar story. I had 2 kids with back in that day, and I was a single mother, and I was only making minimum wage, and nobody was helping me with food hardly, but $100 a month, which wasn't enough to really buy food. And but it came Christmas time and all my bills were behind. And this woman called me and she's like, I really want to help you with your Christmas and I want to help you pay up all your bills.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so she wrote me out a check to bring all my bills up to current date and then gave me a bunch of Christmas presents, a bunch of food. And she's like, don't tell anybody I did this. This is a secret thing. And then she left and I never heard from her again. So,
Wow.
and that was me as I was an atheist for 17 years.
Yeah,
Um,
you and Kirk Cameron have that in common, by the way. I thought
really?
that was really neat. He was 17
Yeah.
and when he
When
was,
I believe in.
so I
Yeah.
think of that every time I hear you say that. I think of, wow, that you two are so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
alike in that aspect. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
that's all right. It definitely gives you a different view, I think, on God whenever you find him after being, not having him. And then you actually know that he's a lot more than what you ever dreamed he was. But yeah, so I tell people all the time because, you know, a lot of people that's never been away from God, they kind of wonder about the atheists. Like, and a lot of even pastors believe that they don't have God if they're an atheist. And I'm like, but God doesn't leave you. Like, God's there the whole time trying to show you, like, hey, I'm here. Like, you know, and even if it hurts, you know, even if and it's going to, it's like you keep banging your head off the wall over and over and over again. Your intuition takes you into all these bad territories just so that you can look up and be like, Abba, Father, you know?
There is a God, yeah.
Yeah.
But can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you were an atheist, did you believe in Satan?
I believe that the earth was hell and that I was already in it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And
With
what was crazy was whenever I started like reading into the Bible on my own after finding God again, I found out God loved Lucifer that much that he gave him dominion over the earth. And I'm like, see, I was right all along.
it's hell.
Yeah.
The reason why I always ask, atheists, do you believe in Satan? Because if they say yes, they'll say, well, you can't believe in Satan without God because God created Satan. He gave Satan reign over the earth. So
Yeah.
there is a God if you believe in Satan,
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't believe in anything. I just believed in being a good person and enduring the best that I could with what I had. And I was, it was like I was such a good person, like you said. It's like, why do things keep happening to me? Like, you see all these other women out there, you know, in these happy relationships, you know, being spoiled. And I'm like, I'm such a good person. I'm a hard worker, you know, I'm doing anything I can to help anybody out. And I keep getting abused, you know, and so,
Exactly.
yeah, so I can relate a lot to your story for sure.
Yeah, it's like, why can't why can't I have those kinds of things? And I know you're not supposed to, envy them, but still, it's like they get to go on cruises, they get to go on trips
Yeah,
and vacations, and I can't afford to do anything like that with my children.
right.
But, yeah, I see you still have some children at home, right?
Yes, I have a 9-year-old. My 18-year-old's getting ready to go off to college.
That's the one that just graduated?
Yeah, here in the fall. So I'm nervous for that. It's been a little bit since I was a single mother without teenagers helping me. So I'm gonna be back on my own again with it. And so I'm a little bit nervous with that. But you know,
You'll pull through. You have God with you. You'll make it.
yeah.
All
Amen.
mine, my youngest is will be 28 in August, and he's in the military, but all of them through everything turned out really good. I was really surprised but proud at the same time. My oldest has worked at Walmart for 13 years as a deli manager. My youngest daughter, she works for Granger. I don't know if you've heard of
Mm.
Granger. They're national. They manufacturer company. She makes really good money. Just bought a house actually. I'm very proud of her. And then my son, he's in the military. He's been in the military for almost 8 years now. So they've all done me really proud. Their father passed away in 2016, so now they are having to deal with the issue that their mother has this terminal disease.
Yeah.
And actually, my doctor just put me on palliative care last week. So, my next step will be hospice after this.
Aw. I'm so blessed to get the opportunity to talk to you.
I'm so blessed now, and thank you for having me talk to you. I've been looking forward to our chat ever since you asked me to chat with you. Um, but yeah, it takes away your autonomic systems, like your respiratory, your circulatory, your nervous system. Starts out with coordination and balance. You think the doctors think you have Parkinson's for a long time because well, in my case, I have MSA, it's multiple system atrophy Parkinsonism. So it does mimic Parkinson's in a way, where I was real shaky at first, but they've got that part under control with some medication. Then it starts affecting your urinary systems, your digestive systems, respiratory, and blood pressure. Like my blood pressure, if I stand up, it goes down as low as like I'd say 70/52 has been like my lowest.
Yeah.
So it's pretty low where you get to where you'll get dizzy or you'll pass out. So my husband, thankfully, it's 12 years. Any of my other relationships, they would have long gone, left me,
Yeah.
like this, be like, oh no, I'm not taking care of you like this. But and it's a funny story. I've known him since I was 5 years old, so we've known each other for 43 years. 44 years now. Yeah. He pops in and out of my book throughout the story. But so he knows my life story. He's been there throughout it. And he doesn't work. He takes 100% care of me every day. I could not do it without him. So I thank God every day for sending him into my life. He has to help me get out of bed. He has to get my food for me. He has to cut it up if it involves, cutting things up because I don't have that control with my hands anymore. This chair, he had to sit, get me sit in this chair before I could talk with you. He has to get me up out of it when we get done. He has to help me go to the bathroom. He has to bathe me. He has to wash my hair. He has to brush my hair. He has to do everything. I couldn't do anything if it wasn't for him. So I know
Yeah.
he's Godsend too.
Yeah, absolute. Yeah, and then gives you that, understanding of how worthy you are, before he takes you home, you know.
Yes. And
Yeah.
speaking of taking me home, and after I wrote the book, things started happening. God started opening these paths. Like for example, my brother, he got indicted for sexual misconduct with his youth group. He was a youth minister and apparently, was doing some bad things with the youth group. So
Yeah.
God's finally, I'm seeing things happen, unravel.
Yeah.
And I've been having dreams, and he's been showing me little glimpses of heaven. And every dream I have, it's just such a more peaceful feeling. Like I've seen the throne room in my dream.
Oh.
I've seen St. Peter at the gate. Um,
Oh.
I've been met by all of my family, and they all tell me they'll see me real soon. My husband's birthday was in April, and his mother passed away in 2016. But after one dream, I saw all my family, and they all hugged me and told me they were so happy to see me and that I was going to be home soon. And I turned around, and my mother-in-law was standing there, and she would put her hands on her hips and give a little smirk, just like she would down here on earth, and she said, "Tell Eugene I said happy birthday, and
Oh.
I'm gonna see you real soon."
Oh.
So, yeah, but all these little glimpses he's given me of heaven, My grandmother, I saw her here in my house, and she said, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be coming to get you pretty soon, and we're gonna have a big feast, and I'm gonna bake you your favorite chocolate pies.
So you're not afraid.
No, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. It will be
Yeah.
there's this big table. It's as long as you can see. Everybody sits at this table and has a feast together. It's really, really, really beautiful. It's so undescribable. I've heard other stories about people describing it, or saying how beautiful it is, but it is so undescribable. And the one thing that stands out to me is everybody has a rainbow aura, and it's like a glistening rainbow aura, like you see when the water hose outside in the sunlight. Um, but the rainbow is God's promise, so I
Yeah.
can I can understand, and I can understand why you have that aura now.
Yeah. It's
And I
beautiful.
also have had a dream of there's malls in heaven, and you get to shop at these malls for free. And you you think about it, you ever get something or you find something and you're like, where did this come from? You don't
Yeah.
know where you get this. Someone from heaven brought that down for you, because
Yeah.
when they shop in the malls in heaven, they're shopping for the loved ones here on earth.
That's so beautiful.
And they don't miss us, because they can come down here and they can visit us anytime they want to. They're all around you. You can feel them if you search hard enough. You can feel that love from those loved ones that have gone on.
Yeah. I think I forget about that too often. I think a lot of people do that. We do have angels that are here, as servants of God to make sure that we're safe and taken care of the way He wants things to be. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
they're all around us. You don't see them, but I know now they're there.
yeah,
They are really there.
yeah.
But um but yeah, I wanted to share too how I got Kirk Cameron to forward my story. It's a really neat experience.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too.
So you know how he does the American Campfire revivals? He goes around and you know
I just saw that after connecting with you. I just saw that. Yeah.
well, it came actually I was supposed to go to Vermont and see my best friend, but she got COVID, so we didn't get to go and see her. And we were driving by one of our big hometown churches, and on the marquee it said Kirk Cameron was coming. So my husband said, well, since we can't go to Vermont, would you like to go see Kirk Cameron? And I was like, would I? know, because Kirk Cameron was like my big time celebrity crush. I had his
Yeah.
posters all over my walls. And so I was like, yeah, I would. So he's like, okay, let's go. Well, actually, he said, why don't you call your mom and see if she wants to go with you? So I called her. She said, yeah, I'll go. Well, she's a nurse, so she didn't have time that day to go home and change out of her scrubs. So she's pushing me in my wheelchair in her scrubs. So it looks like I've got a private nurse, pushing me
Right.
around. And I was in the VIP, so we go before the event starts. And he's on stage and it's question and answer. And I raised my hand and I put it down. I thought, no, I'm too embarrassed. I'm too shy. But this man down further, he raised his hand. And when Kirk said, yes, sir, he said, this lady down on the end here has a question for you. And I was like, oh boy, First of all, I just want to let you know I loved Growing Pains, and I loved watching it as growing up. And do you think there'll be another reunion? And he said, well, Alan Thicke is gone, but we've talked about it with the other characters, so it's very possible. So another thing I want you to know is, I had your posters plastered all over my walls, and I wrote you a letter and asked you for your autographed picture, and I gave you 3 months, and you didn't send me one, so I tore all your posters down. And he said, well, I said, why didn't you send me that letter or that picture? And he said, well, I'm gonna make that up to you tonight. And I was like, oh, that would be awesome. So after they do the worshiping inside, they go out. You go outside and you have a campfire, and everybody still, they still sing a few songs and do a little bit more worshiping. So when it was over, Kirk came over to my wheelchair. I had given him a bracelet that said, defeatmsa.org, and told them that I had MSA and it was terminal. So he came over to my wheelchair and he grabbed me by my hands and he said, "Can I pray for you?" And I said, "Absolutely, of course you can." So he prayed for me. And then I told him, I said, "God's came to me and he told me that I don't have much time on earth, but he wants me to tell my story from the beginning first." And Kirk asked me, he said, "How do you plan on doing that?" And I said, I don't know." And he said, "I think you need to write a book." And I said, "Okay, I'm not a writer." But I think that's what you need to do. So I said, "Okay." He said, "And here's my email address. You keep me posted on how your book's coming along." So I did. I kept him updated. And then after the book was finished, he wanted to read the manuscript. So I sent the manuscript to him and he read it. And with me and his manager, we emailed back and forth to each other throughout that. And he sent me the forward after Kirk had flown from California to Tennessee. So he read it on the plane, on the way to Tennessee and then on the way back home. And then he sent me his forward, and it's so beautiful. And I've seen other forwards that he's written for other books, and they're just a couple of sentences long.
Yeah.
But my forward, he wrote a full page in it, and it's in my book, but a full page he wrote for me. And I thought that was absolutely beautiful and awesome that he did that. And it was definitely making up for not sending me that autograph picture back when I was a teenager. But he
I love
said,
how you called him out.
that's what everybody said in the group too. And when it was came to take pictures with him, he I was gonna just wait for him to get done taking everybody's pictures with everybody and see if he would come down off the stage to take it with me, since I was in a wheelchair. And these men came over to me and they said, "You want us to put your wheelchair on stage?" I said, "You don't have to do that. I was just going to wait till he got done with everybody else." And they said, "Oh, well, no, we can get you up there." So they picked my wheelchair up with me in it and put me on stage. And then I told Kirk, I said, "I don't want to get my picture taken with you in my wheelchair." So he helped me stand up and he held on to me to take my picture with him.
Oh,
And then afterwards, well, he was praying, with me, and I had him autograph my ticket. I asked my mom, I said, "Did you get a picture or did you video that?" And she said, "No, I was holding my flashlight so y'all could see and so that he could, write the autograph." And I'm like, "No, I didn't get a picture of that." And I don't know why. I never do this, but there was this lady and this is another one of those angels on earth.
yeah.
She goes to like every one of his events. And so I was looking through her pictures, and Andrea, there was the picture of me and Kirk, me in my wheelchair, and Kirk on his knees in my wheelchair. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." And my husband's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Look." And he looked, he said, "That's you." And I'm like, "I know." The very next day, her profile just disappeared. It was gone. And I said, "Thank you for taking this picture. If you have any more pictures or any videos, I would love them. I really appreciate this picture. It means a lot to me." But her profile was gone. So it was like
So awesome.
God gave me that picture. He knew how much I wanted it.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
very
so awesome.
awesome experience, and I really enjoyed meeting him. He's a very genuine guy. He has a big heart.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that Hollywood didn't take him down as it does so many other actors, and that he found Christ at an early age and he's gone on and shared him throughout these years, making all those Christian movies and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Speaking of, have you seen my book trailer?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
have,
did.
haven't you?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
They're sending that to Lionsgate.
Awesome.
Yeah, and John, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. If he decides that he doesn't want to make a movie on it, then it goes to Hollywood's database. So it's very possible that one day we may see this as a motion picture on the big screen,
Yeah,
hopefully, or a TV movie or something like
that would
that.
be awesome.
It would be,
Yeah.
but I really would prefer that Kirk make it since he's been involved, and he's the one that inspired and motivated me. Since he does do Christian movies, I would like that.
Yeah. I think about that oftentimes. It's like you have people that lived on this planet and they're making an impact for like ever. You know what I mean? Like they still haven't went anywhere through either movies, the movies are there, or music. There's music that's been playing forever since they made it. And even that, I definitely believe that in our steps we impact people, and it just carries on and carries out. And yeah.
And that's what I want my story to do too. I may not be here very long, but my story is still going to be here, and I want it to continue to inspire others to know that they are not alone
Right.
through their trials and tribulations, that God's with them every step of the way.
Right.
Um, I actually wrote and published a poem. I think I shared it on your
Yeah, you did. That is beautiful.
20 years ago I published that poem, and I
Yeah.
put that in my book too. But it's true. It's just like footprints in the sand say. He carries you through those troubled times.
Yeah.
You're not ever alone. He's always there for you. You may not believe it in those times,
You're right. Yeah.
but he'll tell you, I was there and I carried you. And I have a Christian family. I actually had a book signing last week, and I stopped by to visit a Christian family, and they have 6 children, and there's not one bad seed out of all 6 kids. That I used to see them when I lived down South Texas. I managed condos, and they would be out on the beach just reading their Bibles, and I thought,
Yeah.
wow, all these children out there just having a Bible study on the beach every day. But they anointed a blanket and gave it to me and said, this is like Jesus was swaddled in his blanket. This blanket is to swaddle you and to
Oh,
give you comfort and bring you comfort throughout the remaining days of your life. I thought that was just so sweet.
yeah. It's beautiful. And I'm definitely going to keep you in my prayers as well, for sure.
Thank you. And I know I've been praying for healing, and my family's been praying for healing, but like I tell them, I'm gonna get my healing. It's not gonna be here on this earth. My
Yeah.
healing is gonna be everlasting life and not hurt, no pain anymore. I'm gonna be able to be me again. Because when I have those dreams about heaven, I'm actually walking again. I'm doing
Okay.
things normally again, and that's where my healing's gonna be. It's gonna be
Right.
in heaven with our Father.
Right. I love how you say that, because so many people lose their loved ones and they pray so hard for them in that last time period. Like, God, please heal them. And they send out these prayer chains and they're like, well, I guess God didn't answer. And it's like, well, sometimes that is the answer, you know?
He answers all our prayers. It may not be when or how we want them to be answered, but
Yeah.
they are answered.
Right.
I was talking with my physical therapist one day. He lost his mom, and he said, I'm so angry with God. I prayed for her healing, and I was like, listen, Ty, your mom got healing. She
Right.
she got peace and she got healing. She's in heaven with the Lord. And he's like, I didn't look at it that way. And I'm like, we have to. You have to
Yeah.
know God answers your prayers, and your mom's not hurting anymore. She's not in
Right.
pain anymore. So it changes outlook on that, Now
Yeah.
he understands. But yeah, so many people believe that, he doesn't answer our prayers. I didn't get what I wanted, and
Right.
my family member's not here anymore. They're dead. They didn't get
Right.
healed.
Yeah. It's like they did because this isn't heaven. Yeah. I've been preparing my kids for many years of my death because my mom had passed away whenever I was 17, and I'm just like I wanted them to be prepared, you know. And so I'm like, all right, so we're gonna have a plaque with all the crazy stuff I said, and I'm gonna be buried underneath a tree. So every time you go to this tree, you read this plaque with all these stupid things that I've said over the years, and then you laugh. And then I was like, and we don't want any funeral. We're having a picnic with lots of music, and we're going to celebrate your mother's life, because whenever I go, I'm going to be happy to go home.
Exactly. That's what I told my kids too. I want to be cremated, and I want some of my ashes taken to Hawaii because I've always wanted to go to
There
Hawaii.
you go. Yeah, it's
It's on my
awesome.
bucket list. Since I can't
Yeah,
go physically, take my ashes and spread some of those there, and then rejoice and have a happy day because I'm going to be rejoicing and I'm going to
you
be
will
happy.
know.
But that's so weird. You really have been through a lot of similar
Oh, yeah.
things.
Oh, absolutely.
I lost my father when I was 20, so I've lost both of my parents, and losing them at 17 and 20, that's really difficult too. But you weren't even
Right.
graduated from high school then when you lost your mother, were you?
No, and then I was left with my stepfather who wasn't kind to me. So, I definitely, yeah, it was definitely a very dark period. And so I know all too well about feeling alone and not feeling like you have anybody. And so I would always try to find that in men, and until I found God again, and God's just been showing me so much, like, and allowing me to like use all these things that I went through in order to help somebody else out, because I definitely don't want them to feel what I felt, at least not for like 20 years.
Exactly, it's too long.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, my father was possibly murdered when I was 20 and I was 6.5 months pregnant with my youngest daughter, so he only got to meet my oldest daughter. And um at least I have pictures and I have stories that I can, tell and share with my youngest too.
Yeah.
But
And you're helping so many people with your stories too. I
yes.
actually one day I want to write a book. So did you ever know that you're my hero?
No, no.
You are.
Wow.
That's good.
And a lot of the people that have read it and that have left reviews talk about, how riveting and twisting and turning the chapters are and how inspired they have been since they've written it. I wouldn't think that I could inspire that many people. So it really, every review that's like that is tear-jerking to me because it brings me joy that I can inspire that many people, and
Yeah.
help them to understand things a little more clearly.
Right.
I never,
Yeah.
and the thing is that it's a book, so it's going to go on forever. Even after I'm gone, it's going
Yeah.
to continue to keep doing that for forever.
Right. And not even that, you think about the conversations that the person that reads the book has with somebody else that's going through similar things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? we learn these lessons, and God will bring us the people at just the right time in order to lift them up. So it's going to go a lot further than even the book. It's going to go
Oh
through
yeah,
the people that read the book to, different people that haven't read the book,
that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's so true. And I'm just glad and overjoyed that I'm going to be able to do that for people. And when I was 14, I rededicated my life to God, and He told me then, I want you to share your testimony. And I was like, I don't have a story to tell.
Yeah, because you've seen his story.
He was like, oh, but you will. And boy, was he right.
Right.
So I guess I've known all along that I was going to have this to do, but I just didn't know what it was or what it was going to be about.
Yeah.
But I do, and I did it. And now that I've done what God asked me to do, I know that I'm going to be here for a little longer because I'm going to get to see some of the things that my book does for people. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be doing any more book signings because that really took a toll out of me. I think the only time I didn't hurt when I went there was during the book signing, but I think that was just an adrenaline, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stick to podcasts and radio interviews for now, so I can do that in the comfort of my own home
Right.
and just see where the book goes from here. And I'm gonna get to see it take off a little bit before God sends me home.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to too, because it's going to save a lot of people's lives. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and Kirk hasn't even really put it out there yet, so I know when he does, when he shares it on his social media, that's when it's really gonna start taking off. So I'm just prepared. God's preparing me for that big takeoff, you know.
Well, congrats on unexpected moments, and thank you for blessing me by joining me today, but also by connecting with me in general. And I'm grateful to know you.
I feel the same way, especially now that we've talked today, and I can see, I know you told me that we have some things in common, but after talking with you today, I definitely see that for sure. And it's to me, it's neat to find other people that have gone through similar situations and
Yeah,
know that, no, I wasn't alone. I never was alone, but to know that there was other people that have dealt with and had to go through that similar pain throughout their
yeah.
lives too. So I'm sorry you had to deal with that and go through all that.
I thank you. I mean, I see it today as it's like you went through all that pain. Now you wrote this book, and then there's people reaching out to you. It's so much gratitude, and it almost makes, though, if you would have turned back time, you would have changed the script,
Yeah.
but it does give you that way to escape, because now instead of looking at it as, these evil things happen to me, it's like now I get gratitude for what I'm doing with the bad things that happen to me, so I can be kind of grateful for the pain in a sense.
Yeah, and too, the book was very therapeutic in a sense. A lot of things, it's like after I wrote it, I got a weight lifted off my shoulders, but yet I don't remember it anymore. It's like I put it out there and it got it out of my head, so
Yeah,
it pulled that pain out.
right,
And I think that's what one of the things that it was supposed to do, it was meant to do, was to take that pain away in a sense.
right. God wants you to be at peace whenever he takes you.
Yeah. And the book definitely gave me peace, and so did those dreams. So every day I just get more and more peace. And
Yeah.
I know that I'm fixing to have all the peace in the world that that I've been waiting for, that I deserve.
Right.
I'm finally gonna get it. And I can't wait for that day. It's gonna be a very happy day for me. And I do feel bad for my kids, but I know that they're gonna be strong enough to handle it, because in a matter of, I'd say, 3 or 4 years tops total, they lost their grandpa, their uncle, their dad, their grandma, and then their aunt killed herself. And they have one more aunt out of the whole family on their dad's side left, and she just found out she has breast cancer. So that's a lot, yeah. And then now their mom has this as well, so they're gonna have their own story to share one of these days.
Amen. It's a testimony. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
well, thank you so much for having me today and letting me share my story with you.
You're welcome. I'm grateful. And yeah, I'm gonna share out all the links for the book and your Facebook page and stuff like that. I'm gonna stick it all down in the description. And so, but I'll be getting in contact with you here soon. And thank you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. No, thank you.
All
I
right,
appreciate it.
I'll see you later.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this message, please hit subscribe, because every week we have some super awesome people coming to give us their wisdom and their presence and, their amazing talents. So stay tuned, hit subscribe. Don't miss the next episode of Our Daydream.